As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Choices are great. Like with your podcasts, you get to choose what you want to listen to. And State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you get the coverage you want at an affordable price and a policy that helps cover what you value most. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
The Purple Mafia with your host, Paladino Joey.
Well, we'll see. The doctors would disagree, but what do they know?
So let's just say that you'll pay me because it's in your interest to pay me.
Is it worth it? I mean, you've won. Do you want to wipe everybody out?
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies. That's all. My father taught me many things here. He taught me, keep your friends close, put your enemies closer.
These are wonderful things that we've achieved, and there's no limit to where we can go from here.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. It is December the 2nd, a Monday, 2013. This is episode number 157 of Purple Mafia. The number keeps climbing and, kind of, sort of, so do the wins, right? Sort of, right? Well, the numbers haven't, the losses haven't been climbing. The fan base isn't growing. It's generated by the, just listenership hasn't been high, and I understand. It's, I guess people just don't want to hear about Vikings football right now. I'm sorry to hear that. I understand, though. Yeah, that's just the way things are going right now. But the Vikings did win the game yesterday against the Chicago Bears. It's going to be, as per usual, of course. We're going to review the game in the first segment. Second segment, we're going to preview the next week's game, but also the NFC North roundup. That'll be very brief because it's just two games. Vikings played the Bears and the Lions played the Packers on Thanksgiving. You know where that laugh came from. Of course, we'll also have a little brief story as well to, talk about why Aaron Henderson wasn't available last week's show, but or last week's game and all that good stuff. Yeah, his personal reason. Yeah, it was personal, right? But yeah, Purple Mafia is available on the sportstuff.com and on iTunes. I do thank each and every one of you always for downloading and listening to this show. It is wonderful indeed to have you on board again. Do get to thesportstuff.com. Don't forget to check out the other shows on that website. The crossover podcast. You got Rusty and P-Mac, New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, all that good stuff. And, of course, my other two shows, Timberwolves Explosion and Brave the Wild. Very self-explanatory there. Timberwolves and Wild shows, also on iTunes. Very simple. Sorry to throw those extra plugs in there. Usually I just say thesportstuff.com, but, I just figured I'd throw that in there as well. My bad. All right, so, yes, the Vikings defeated the Chicago Bears. And, of course, yes, the third segment of the show will be the fan interaction. And with that, we'll lead off with a call from Brent Jacobson. So, that was, unfortunately, a call that could have been on the last show, but the schedule just wasn't going to allow it last week, and I didn't get the call in time, so do apologize for that. But, yeah, the Vikings defeated the Chicago Bears. Yeah, all kinds of stuff to talk about in this one. A entertaining game in some way. Yeah, just a silly game, really, to be honest with you. I don't think very few people are going to disagree with that statement. Just a silly game. Like, what the hell? It's nice to win. It's nice to win, but, of course, draft chasers, a little frustrated, I'm sure, with it. Jacksonville won again. Yes, Jacksonville won again. Tampa Bay didn't, but all those teams have 3 wins. Now the Vikings are actually ahead of all those teams like we were before because we have a tie. So the win percentage a little bit higher than them. The The Jags have won their third game, though. That's kind of surprising. All kinds of good stuff right there. Houston did not win. New England almost lost to them. That was funny, but nice little comeback by the Patriots, much to the Colts' chagrin, of course. Or, excuse me, the Texans' chagrin. They're complaining, oh, the Patriots stole our plays. Oh, get over it. That's a little old news. Thanksgiving games, yeah, okay. They're usually not too good. Pittsburgh and Baltimore was all right. Nice to see Baltimore beat Pittsburgh because I'm not a fan, of course. But yeah, those Thanksgiving games, just for the most part, they're not too great. But I'm sure a lot of Viking fans enjoyed it, watching the Packers get absolutely slaughtered by the Detroit Lions, Tigers, whatever, right? Lions, Tigers, Bears, oh my. Anyhow, enough of all that. Let's get to our team as out of the playoffs as they are, but at least they won a game, I suppose. The final score, of course, another overtime game. The Vikings almost tied again, which is kind of funny. That's why I'm calling the title of the show Win, Lose, or Draw, because it's like, well, what the hell are we going to do? Win, lose, or draw in this one? It was a very wild game, a 23-20 victory for the Minnesota Vikings. They are now 3-8-1 on the season. The hockey record will continue the rest of the year. 3 columns for the Vikings. Chicago Bears dropped to 6-6. Chicago Bears, way to take control of a very, very, very winnable division. I mean, that's just ridiculous. If you're going to win the division, you have to win games like this one. Have to. Vikings basically handed it to you late in the game. We'll get to that near the end of the review. They basically handed it to you, and you still didn't win the game. Unbelievable. The first 2 quarters were pretty boring, other than Cordero Patterson, rushing for a 33-yard touchdown. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? That was actually very cool. Unexpected. 33 yards. One of those reverse plays showing his athleticism. Scampered for a 33-yard touchdown, so that was very cool to see. Adrian Peterson, of course, 211-yard day. Amazing game for the Minnesota Vikings, and Adrian Peterson, 35 carries, 6 yards even a carry. 23 for a long, so it was just an overall kind of a Terrell Davis type of game for Adrian Peterson. Just power running and getting first downs, blowing through everybody. Running back like that could win a Super Bowl, but unfortunately, running games like that can help you win a Super Bowl, but unfortunately you need a good quarterback job, and the Vikings haven't really had a good quarterback for a while. They had one for 1 year in 2009, but unfortunately, Anyhow, Christian Ponder, certainly not as good as he was against Green Bay last week. Not even close. Pretty lousy, really lame first half. In fact, he threw for 40 yards in the first half. 40 yards in the first half. Christian Ponder, just unbelievable, terrible game by Christian Ponder, actually, to be honest with you. A very nondescript first quarter. Yes, Adrian Peterson was getting yards on the ground, but it's just Ponder, completely same old ineffective garbage player that he is. Didn't turn the ball over, but a quarterback rating of 54%. That's not going to get it done. I mean, that was the whole first half before he got sandwiched between 2 defensive linemen. It was a Christian Ponder sandwich. Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Well, it's going to have to be funny, so laugh, damn it. Okay, Christian Ponder, just another concussion. That's just all we're hearing about in hockey and in football. Concussion Junction is back. I had a wild show back in, was it 2010? I called it Concussion Junction because it's just getting ridiculous. Everybody's getting concussions. Well, Ponder's on the list now. It's just nonstop, never ends. Josh Freeman's so-called concussion, I'm pretty sure he's healthy and ready to go, but he was inactive. Josh Freeman's never going to play a game for the Minnesota Vikings unless somebody's out for the season, that type of injury, and then the next guy either gets hurt or plays really bad. That's the only way Josh Freeman is going to be playing in a game. Somebody's going to have an out for the season type of injury for him to even be activated. It's an absolute joke. He's not even activated. They're obviously okay, we wasted $2 million on this guy. Sorry about that. That's like a Brandon Roy type of move by David Kahn with the Minnesota Timberwolves. You bring in a guy for five games in the NBA. That's about. Gosh, that's still about. I don't even want to do the math, but let's just pretend that's like playing one game in the NFL. And that's it. Good job. You give a guy millions of dollars to play one game. Funny, yeah. Good stuff. All right, yeah. Josh Freeman will never play a down for the Vikings. May never even play another down in the NFL. It just might end up that way. That's how bad it's gotten. There must be something on Josh Freeman that's like, this guy's not worth 5 cents. Good stuff. Matt Cassel, very strong in the game. Yeah, kind of like he was in the Pittsburgh Steelers game when the Vikings won of their first game of the year in, we all know, London. Yes, sir, London, United Kingdom, England. Good times for Matt Cassel. He was the king of the castle in London. And, he was the semi-king of the castle. Castlevania 2. Castlevania 2, Matt's Quest, was very solid in the second half. He took the Vikings down the field, looked pretty good, up and down, over and over on continuous drives in the game. Not dominant, but very good. 243 yards, over 60% passing, 80.7 quarterback rating. Did have a interception in there. Not a pretty pass, but whatever. I mean, what are you going to expect from Matt Cassel? He's not going to make anyone blush. No, he's not making anyone blush, but hey. Adequate game, kind of like a Gus Frerotte type when Frerotte was replacing Tavares Jackson. That's basically where we're at. We're at the Frerotte and Jackson type of situation again, though. I wouldn't even put Matt Cassel as Gus Frerotte. I mean, Frerotte was better than Cassel. Though Cassel's game yesterday was about what Frerotte was in the past, so we'll leave that as is. This is just a wild, nasty game. First half was crap, of course. Second half, the bombs went off, of course. Vikings looked good early. Matt Cassel, excuse me, no, they didn't look good early. I'm crazy. It was the fourth quarter when the Vikings picked up. But Chris Cook may have lost his job in the NFL, not even just with the Vikings, but in the NFL in that third quarter. I don't know why the hell I was talking about. Yeah, I don't know. You get confused sometimes, but we all know what happened. Matt Cassel driving the Vikings later in the game. That's what really happened. Him and Greg Jennings finding some nice chemistry down the stretch. Son of a bitch finally scored a touchdown, Greg Jennings. About time. But anyhow, let's get back to Chris Cook's. Speaking of touchdowns, Alshon Jeffrey looking like freaking Kelvin Johnson out there against Chris Cook. But who doesn't look like Kelvin Johnson against Chris Cook? I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm not even trying to be. It just is funny. That's all. It just is. That's all. I mean, you just watch Chris Cook play. It's funny. Hilarious. The first time, it was an 80-yard touchdown because Chris Cook, you probably could blame it on some of the coaching. I'm sure you can. Bad sets. I'm sure we're going to hear that time and time again. I'm sure we're going to hear that time and time again because Alan Williams can't coach anything. He's the worst defensive coordinator in football. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, Chris Cook doesn't belong in the NFL. No, Judd Zulgad even said that during the, vent line. Again, not that they need a plug, but just saying. It's true, though. I mean, Chris Cook doesn't belong in the NFL. He's garbage. He doesn't belong on this team for sure. Can't guard he's never done anything. He's, of course, he had that domestic dispute Bolsheviks. Yeah, I already swore earlier. I don't need to swear 19 times in this show. But he already had that. It's ridiculous. I mean, the guy can't... Yeah, that's all he's done. No, he's still yet to get a turnover in the NFL, force a fumble, get an interception. He's done neither. Spectacular, but he's sure been giving up touchdowns beyond belief. Yeah, the first one, he basically had two left feet. Was one of those deals. Yeah, he was trying to keep up with Jeffrey, who got past him, caught the ball, got past him, and then there was the 2 left feet deal. And 80 yards to pay dirt went Alshon Jeffrey. And then Matt Cassel took the Vikings far in the third quarter, but no touchdown was made. Blair Walsh ended up kicking a chip shot 32-yard field goal. Vikings could not get the job done. I do believe this was either this or sometime in the fourth quarter is when Ellison dropped a sure touchdown. One of his 2 humongous blunders in this game. He single-handedly almost cost the Vikings the game, but Another guy that almost single-handedly cost the Vikings the game was a man that got the stuffing beat out of him, and that's Chris Cook. We're getting right back into that. There's two men that we'll be talking about shortly here. We're going to continue to talk about for a while here anyway. Chris Cook destroyed by Alshon Jeffrey again. This is the one where he absolutely looked like Calvin Johnson. The first one he looked like, I don't even know. I guess Calvin Johnson. But the second one he really did. Chris Cook Jeffrey just caught it right over Chris Cook. Chris Cook thinking he got pass interfered with both times. And when he did the pass interference gesture, it ran into the referee, and the referee ejected him, and good times. And Chris Cook looked like he wanted to smack the referee with his helmet. It looked like he was ready to do it. Because Cook took his helmet off and was holding it. It looked like he was ready to swing it into the referee's face. That would have been hilarious to watch. But Chris Cook can get mad all he wants. And I understand why he would be frustrated and all that good stuff. But you can't play. I'm sorry. Chris Cook can't play. And I think the Minnesota Vikings, if they don't know it already, need to know that, of course. And I know the old well, who else are you going to put in? Who replaces him? Argument that people like to throw out. Well, I guess Marcus Sherrills, who, well, he's not the greatest cornerback in the league, but at least he doesn't get you killed. He just doesn't. Funny how the Bears didn't actually score another point the rest of the game after that. Isn't that funny? There weren't any 80-yard touchdowns or 40-yard, 46-yard like bombs. That was actually much more of an impressive play than the 80-yard one. The 80-yard one was just a horrible defensive breakdown, right? 46 was a dominant just catch over Chris Cook. Looked like an over the back in the NBA type of rebound. That might be why Chris Cook was complaining at the side judge. But so be it. Fourth quarter, very entertaining for Minnesota. Matt Cassel completing a very nice drive, which multiple completions to Greg Jennings. They ultimately ended up with Greg Jennings in the end zone. That's about bleeping time. Sorry though, Greg Jennings, you're not getting any Fran Tarkenton award, even though he actually led the Vikings in receptions for like the first time ever. And it's about damn time. I mean, I kind of forgot he existed. Cordell Patterson, we're forgetting he existed as well. Targeted 4 times, only 1 catch in the game. Cordell Patterson, come on. Jarius Wright, I love him. I really do. He caught all 3 of the balls thrown to him for 53 yards. Just solid, Obviously, not a high-end player, but a real solid, like, third receiver in this league. I would keep Jarius Wright for as long as he can play in this league. I really like him. Just valuable piece for this team. Always will be. Jerome Simpson targeted 9 times, only caught 3. It's just classic Jerome Simpson. Do I need to say more? No. A classic Jerome Simpson. John Carlson continues to be productive. Very productive, as Adam Carlson would say. Very productive guy. Really happy to see John Carlson continue to have a solid year in relief of Kyle Rudolph, who, of course, with the serious injury, indeed there. Nice, strong season for John Carlson. It's just like, where was this before? It's strange that we didn't see this before, to be honest. 325 yards and a touchdown on the year. So it's about bleeping time. It's been 4 weeks, I believe, since the injury to Kyle Rudolph. Yes. I got to look at this. I mean, Greg Jennings, he just drives me nuts. He does, and I think all of you know why already. I mean, if he doesn't drive you nuts, you're crazy. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, Greg Jennings somehow actually has 3 touchdowns on the year, which is funny. It's like I don't even remember them. That's the sad part. That's how sad it's been with this son of a gun. I mean, I don't even remember the touchdown he got. But yeah, he got 2 touchdowns in Pittsburgh. So that's the funny part. Yeah, when the Vikings finally won a game, Greg Jennings was a factor. Yep, I remember now. Yeah, 92 yards in that game as well. And then he scored finally now, all these weeks later. It was still September, ladies and gentlemen, the last time Greg Jennings was in the end zone. I understand we don't have the best quarterbacks in the world, but are you telling me Greg Jennings couldn't be a little bit more of a factor with this offense? Are you telling me Greg Jennings couldn't couldn't at least make these quarterbacks look a little better once in a while? Well, I guess not. So, nice $47 million investment there. Great. We'll just leave that alone. Josh McCown, well, he did what he's been doing most of the time. He's been getting lots of yards. Not dominant, but then again, actually, he was kind of dominant against this horrible defense, wasn't he? Oh, this secondary sucks. More reason why Chris Spielman, yeah, his brother, right? Former Detroit Lion, but Rick Spielman, he needs to go. Rick Spielman needs to go because he can't draft a quarterback or a cornerback. And as always, it's just more and more evident every single game the Vikings play that Rick Spielman needs to go. The two most important positions in football, quarterback and cornerback, because this is a passer league now. You need to pass the ball effectively, and you need to stop the pass effectively if you're going to win in this league. And unfortunately, if your general manager is putrid at finding talent at both positions via the draft, he should not be the general manager. So there you go. The head coach should not be the head coach either, because he has no idea what's going on. Okay, not that, okay, yeah, I know these guys have forgotten more than most of us will ever know about football, but I'm just saying, compared to other NFL coaches, this staff is clueless. Josh McCown throwing for 355 yards on the game, 64% completion percentage, quarterback rating of just under 115, 2 touchdowns, of course, both to Alshon Jeffrey, excuse me. Oh, boy. Whew, Alshon Jeffrey doing a number on Chris Cook. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. You look at Alshon Jeffrey's numbers in this game. Yeah, he did numbers on Chris Cook, didn't he? 12 catches. He was targeted 15 times. There's a reason, because you're gonna get the catch against Chris Cook. You're not gonna have to worry about throwing an INT. 249 yards for Alshon Jeffrey, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's a lot. But with that said, the Bears never scored again after Alshon Jeffrey got those 2 touchdowns against the wonderful Chris Cook. Wonderful Chris Cook. In a lot of ways, ladies and gentlemen, the story of the whole game was both teams almost refusing to win this game. The Vikings came back from down 20-10 to force overtime. Cassel taking the Vikings down the field in a very solid fourth quarter drive to tie the game. Kick a field goal. Good stuff. It was officially just 34 yards out. Blair Walsh isn't going to miss that. He did also add a 30-yard chip shot. Oh, excuse me. What am I talking about? The game-tying kick was a 30-yard chip shot. Excuse me. With only 20 seconds left, so it's like you have to kick it. It's just like, kick it. Let's get to overtime. Blair Walsh is one of the best. We were down by 3, so let's not screw around anymore. Blair Walsh is going to make this kick. Let's go to overtime. Or at least we're at home. But the whole story of the game was the overtime period. It was ridiculous. Both teams refusing to win. It was pretty funny. It was about 40 yards out after the Chicago Bears failed to score on their first attempt, which then gave the Vikings a chance to just ice the game, because obviously the overtime rule is when a team wins the coin toss, they can't just drive down the field, kick a field goal, and go home. No. If they kick a field goal, the other team gets a chance. But either way, if they fail, the other team can have the ball and kick a field goal and win, because they got the second chance. The Bears had a chance to do something earlier. Field goal would not have won the game, obviously, if the Bears kicked a field goal first. They would have tied it, and then overtime would have continued, a la Green Bay last week. But as mentioned, both teams refused to win this game for the longest time. Cassel driving the Vikings down the field decently, but they hit fourth down, so Blair Walsh, 40-yard kick. He's probably going to make this. The kick is up. It's pretty much perfect. Vikings win. Oh, no. Nope. There is a flag on the field. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, a face mask by Rhett Ellison. Yeah, Rhett. Good job. Nice face mask there. Really appreciate what you had to contribute on that one. Face mask, 15-yard penalty. So Blair Walsh forced to kick a 55-yarder, which just did not go in. It was off, of course, wide to the left. Technically, yes, wide to the left. Good stuff. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Red Ellison. The Bears then drive down the ball down the field. And on 2nd and 7, they elect to kick a 47-yard field goal. I mean, it's very makeable for a great kicker, but 47 yards. Robbie Gould, of course. Why not continue a little bit? It's not like you're running out of time there, Mr. Tressman, Jim Tressman. What are you doing? They just said kick it. It's 2nd and 7. At least maybe you could run the ball and get a first down or something. Like, at least run it down to 4th down. What are you doing, Tressman? Do you not want to win the division? I mean, they could easily win the division, the Chicago Bears. Because obviously this was when it was sudden death. Obviously, when the Bears failed to score in their first attempt, it suddenly becomes sudden death. The Bears had this game won easily. But at the same time, he figured, okay, Robbie Gould will probably make it anyway. It's 47 yards out. No. Wide left. Vikings take over. A very easy, solid drive. Matt Cassel completing a few passes to Greg Jennings. Adrian Peterson with some strong runs. And then there was another chip shot for Blair Walsh. He's not going to miss this one. And he didn't. 34 yards out, right through the uprights. See you later. Vikings win. The Bears blow an opportunity to win the division. Good for them, I guess. Can't imagine that old Dylan Richardson is happy about that one. Hopefully he's been listening. I don't know who's listening to the show anymore. What the hell? Where are all of you guys? Remind your friends to listen to the show, will you? And I know it's because the Vikings are playing poorly, and I need to just relax. I know you don't hate me. I know you still love me. But, hey, give me. I still have a right to be frustrated by the way things have headed. And who isn't? Yeah, the Vikings won the game. It would be nice to get a draft pick, but, of course, this is one of those years where, yeah, we would get the number one pick in a year when it's one of those drafts where you don't really know who is the best player. You really don't know. Remember the years with the Sam Bradfords and such? It's like, oh, goody. Look at Sam Bradford's doing in St. Louis. Meh. And, of course, that was before he got hurt. Yeah, I'm not saying, oh, look, he got hurt. No, it's before he got hurt. He just didn't do all that much for the vaunted St. Louis Rams, who, they haven't done jack squat, really, ever since they got Sam Bradford. All right, enough of this game, really, for the most part. Pretty much what's been said, pretty much all that's been said is what needed to be said. Greg Jennings played better because it was Matt Cassel. Christian Ponder and Greg Jennings have never found any legitimate chemistry. Matt Cassel and Greg Jennings, without a doubt, have the chemistry. It's two veterans playing like veterans, I suppose. And Ponder and Jennings, there's just nothing there. There's just nothing to be said. So let's get to the Tavares Jackson Award, Fran Tarkenton Award and Tavares Jackson Memorial. All kinds of ideas here about who should get to Tavares Jackson. Fran Tarkenton Award has to go to Adrian Peterson, 211 yards on the ground. Obviously his best game of the season so far. It was great to watch. Very cool. 2 strong games consecutively by AP. Nice to see him gaining some of that 2,000 yards, 2,000 yard lore of last year. He's at about 1,200 yards on the season now and double-digit touchdowns, I believe 10. Yes, that's right, 10 on the year. And, of course, Adrian Peterson can't get the Fran Tarkenton Award without mentioning not only does he have 10 touchdowns on the year, but now 10,000 yards for his career. Absolutely awesome. Very cool. Congratulations, Adrian Peterson. That is what it's all about right there. To 10,000, baby. 10,000. That is gold. That is spectacular. And he deserves all the respect in the world. Still got a ways to go, though, to catch Emmitt Smith, which is his ultimate plan. Emmitt Smith, 18,330, 355 yards. Adrian Peterson, amazingly, still 27th. Only 27th on the all-time list. But just a few more, just like a couple more good years, and he'll be way up there. He'll be like 5th very soon. So that's the good part. LaDainian Tomlinson, 5th all-time with 13,684. So very catchable. I think Adrian Peterson will be in the top 5, and will he get past that? We'll see. Would be very interesting to watch. Walter Payton, 16,726 yards. He played 12 years all with the Chicago Bears. Yes, sir. Barry Sanders, 3rd all-time, 15,269. So, yep, it's a ways to go, but it can happen. It can be done. If Adrian Peterson throws in another 2,000-yard season, that'll really, really cut it short in a quick hurry. Man, it's just amazing, some of these guys. Like, Corey Dillon got that many? Wow, it's just weird. Corey Dillon, over 11,000. Ricky Waters, over 10,000. So, a lot of running. Thomas Jones. Wow, Thomas Jones, over 10,000. 2,591. He was a good running back, but it's like, wow, I didn't realize he was that high up. It's like you just don't realize some of these guys, how great they were at the time. Jerome Bettis, 6th all time. Wow, very cool. Anyhow, let's call it a break. Let's call it a let's call it a game review, and let's call it not a career, but a massive milestone for Adrian Peterson, and many more to come. I hope. That is for damn sure. We'll be back right after this to do that NFC North roundup, and we will preview the Baltimore Ravens game coming next week.
Do you shop on Amazon? Did you know that you can support this podcast just by doing your normal shopping on Amazon? It's really easy to do. Just go to thesportstuff.com and click on one of the many Amazon pictures. Do your normal shopping, and Amazon sees that we referred you, and they give us a percentage. We'd like to thank you in advance for supporting thesportstuff.com, and please use our Amazon link. Now enjoy the rest of the show.
We are going round.
And we are back here on Purple Mafia, episode number 157, which is always a reminder for those of you on your mobile devices, for Apple iPhones and iPods, simply download Purple Mafia on iTunes. For Android products, download us via the Double Twist application. Yes, sir, you can find that in the store, the Double Twist application. Look us up in the podcasting section. Simply type in Purple Mafia. Same thing ultimately for Windows and BlackBerry. Simply type in Purple Mafia in the stores for those, and you can listen to us, download and listen to us that way. So just letting you know, always multiple ways you can listen to this show on the go. And of course, there's always thesportstuff.com and all that good stuff. Yes, I got to get affiliated with another Viking website. Got to do that. Got to get affiliated with an actual Viking website. Never done that. I'm kind of mad at myself about that. Might help just a little bit. Just a little bit, wouldn't it? Speaking of teams that need help, yeah, Detroit always lacks composure. They're never going to win anything, but they certainly won against the Green Bay Packers to open and close the NFC North Roundup with one game. The Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day celebrated Thanksgiving with a win, which is something they honestly don't do very often because they've always been terrible. They honestly don't win a lot of games on Thanksgiving. That's got to be depressing for their fans. I would be like, I don't want to go to that stupid game on Thanksgiving. I'm tired of it. This team sucks. Why do I got to spend my Thanksgiving watching them lose? But, the Green Bay Packers did not get the job done. Obviously, no Aaron Rodgers, and Detroit's semi-decent right now. They are officially the division leader. They're probably going to win the division the way things are going because it doesn't look like Chicago is going to win the division. Green Bay, remarkably, only has 6 losses. Feels like they have 8 or 9, but they are 5-6-1 on the season. Aaron Rodgers, if Green Bay has any hope to get into anything, needs to come back immediately. The Packers cannot afford to lose another game. And, of course, I'm not cheering for the Packers, but just mentioning that the Packers have basically no chance to make the postseason right now, the way things are headed. They will have to run the table with Aaron Rodgers coming back now. Now, Green Bay not beating the Vikings at home really, really, really cost them. So congratulations to the Vikings for tying the Packers and really screwing up their season in a big way. Matthew Stafford threw for his usual 3 billion yards, but also multiple interceptions and multiple touchdowns. Carson Palmer Jr. is Matthew Stafford. When he was, of course, Carson Palmer was when he was with the Cincinnati Bengals. It was always like this. Tons of yards, tons of touchdowns, and multiple interceptions as well. Quarterback rating, 98.5. He looked pretty good against a just useless Green Bay Packers secondary. They're as bad as the Vikings, honestly. Their defense just absolutely, positively sucks. Detroit defensive line shutting down Eddie Lacy in a big way with only 16 yards and 10 rushes. Packers were behind the whole game anyway. Matt Flynn, about as effective as Eddie Lacy against Detroit, completing 50% of his passes, fumbling twice and throwing an interception. 3 turnovers for Matt Flynn. Looking a lot more like Johnny Flynn, formerly of the Minnesota Timberwolves, which was basically useless out there. I guess any form of NBA defense. He couldn't do jack squat. Matt Flynn couldn't do jack squat against this tough Detroit Lions front line. Green Bay Packers are done. Detroit, we'll see if they can actually win a division title. I have no idea. Reggie Bush continuing to be the MVP of the Detroit Lions, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Though some people may argue that it is Matthew Stafford. It's Reggie Bush. He's been the most consistent, solid player all season, even though he's not the kind of guy that is that explosive, like super-duper legend running back like Adrian Peterson is heading towards. But he does get the yards, does Reggie Bush. Another 100-yard game, 100-plus yard game. Only 3 touchdowns on the year rushing. But it's been an overall strong season for him in a lot of ways. 448 yards receiving as well. So he's already got well over 1,000 total yards on the year. 5 touchdowns total because he's got 2 receiving. Reggie Bush really, really opening things up for Detroit. He's a big reason why they have a winning record this year, but so is Joique Bell because they have a nice running back tandem. 94 yards against that hapless Green Bay defense. He also adding a touchdown for the Detroit Lions. Nobody on Green Bay really did anything in this game. Absolutely nobody. It was just a complete laugher in a lot of ways. Complete laugher. James Jones, 79 yards. That's the MVP for the Packers, I got to say. At least on the offensive side of the ball. Green Bay's defense, can't imagine they did all that much. And really, well, Nick Perry got a sack. That's about it. Good for him. Detroit Lions racked up the sacks. Oh, did they ever. Oh, my God. Ziggy Ansah with 2 sacks. Devin Taylor with 2 sacks. Ndamukong Suh, as Dylan Richardson says, with a sack, and he was very dominant in the game. Louis Delmas with a sack, and Stephen Tulloch with a sack. Denver, what am I talking about? Detroit with 7 sacks on on Johnny Flynn, right? No, Matt Flynn, 7 sacks. Good night. Green Bay sucks. It's over for them. Too bad. Too bad, so sad. And, of course, that's not just me being a rube saying Green Bay sucks. No, they do suck. They're not going to go anywhere. There's no doubt about it. It's over for Green Bay. That would wrap up the review for the NFC North because the Minnesota Vikings beat the Bears in overtime. So that's the whole NFC North right there. Isn't that great? Yeah, well, at least we won. At least we won, damn it. That's about it. Oh, boy. The NFC North. Does anybody really believe... I mean, the NFC North's not going to do anything this year, are they? Who's going to win this hapless division and lose in the first round to New Orleans or somebody? Well, it won't be the New Orleans. It'll be like San Francisco. Probably. They'd probably be the number 3 seed because, Seattle's going to win that division. There's just no doubt about it. Seattle's got it. They're beating the Saints right now pretty strongly. Minnesota heads to Baltimore. Goody, on Sunday, December the 12th. Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, sir. Baltimore, Maryland. The world champion Baltimore Ravens are 6-6 on the year. They defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers most recently on Thanksgiving. So they got to take part in that Thanksgiving turkey dealie that they do every year. Now there's 3 Thanksgiving games, not 2. Baltimore Ravens beating their arch rival Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 teams that have always been pretty similar with clutch quarterbacks and great defenses, without a doubt, and some decent wide receivers as well. Pittsburgh Steelers, man, it's amazing they actually have 5 wins on the year, considering how terrible they were back when the Vikings played them in September, but at the end of September. 5-7 on the year. This pretty much put the 6 feet of dirt on the Pittsburgh Steelers, I got to think. Baltimore Ravens staying alive by a thread at 500, 22-10. Not a very fun game to watch necessarily, but not a bad game. It was well quarterbacked, I suppose. Joe Flacco, as Dennis Green likes to say, is completing almost 70% of his passes. Ben Roethlisberger about 63-ish. But anyhow, what's Baltimore going to do against Minnesota? They're probably going to win and keep their season alive, I got to think. They still have all their weapons. They still have Ray Rice, who can catch and run. He's got a little bit of Reggie Bush to him, and in fact, he can be extremely explosive at times. Didn't do all that much against Pittsburgh's aging and not so good defense. Baltimore's defense is still pretty good, but obviously they were aging. Obviously, Ed Reed's no longer there. They're not the same team. Yeah, we know that. Of course, no Ray Lewis either. He's no longer there. He actually meant it when he quit. Man, that Susam keeps showing up. That kicker, Sean Susam, that's Pittsburgh Steelers. I just get a kick out of that. I've seen him like a million times. I don't know what to make of this one. I don't think the Vikings win on the road in Baltimore. That just sounds like climbing a mountain right there. I won't say Mount Everest because Baltimore's not exactly playing like a great team right now. They didn't sack Roethlisberger once yesterday. Their defense just not quite as threatening. They didn't force a turnover against the Steelers either. So, but I can't see the Vikings beating Joe Flacco. He's not a spectacular quarterback, but he's certainly clutch. He's always been battle-tested. He's been battle-tested since he was a rookie. I mean, he won playoff games on the road as a rookie. So that's why I've always been a guy that says, you know what, Baltimore Ravens are going to do something, and Joe Flacco is a legit quarterback because I've always seen this from the guy that when he was winning playoff games on the road as a rookie, and then the next year won playoff games on the road, and the next year won playoff games on the road. Obviously, to me, Baltimore is a team, and to worry about long term in this league, and that's why they ultimately won the Super Bowl last year. Clearly, they're playing like the team that lost the Super Bowl this year with a 6-6 record, but they're still barely hanging on. Kind of New York Giants-esque type of year. Flacco's been, he's got the yardage this year, almost 3,000 yards, but 14 interceptions versus 15 touchdowns. Quarterback rating career low, 78.5. It's kind of ridiculous, after a nice, huge contract to perform this poorly. Obviously, losing a guy that I absolutely adore in Anquan Bolden, just adore him. Happy he went to San Francisco at least, but which is the other Harbaugh, of course. We know that already. You lose a weapon like that, it doesn't help, but it's not like he lost like a super-duper star receiver. But he has other solid receivers there in Baltimore. But again, a down year for him. At the same time, though, I can't pick the Vikings to win in Baltimore. It doesn't make any sense. Baltimore's going to stay alive. They obviously have something to play for here in a big way. They want to stay alive for the playoffs. Maybe make a small last-ditch effort at a repeat. Last-ditch effort at a possibility of a repeat. Some type of miracle run. You never know. They pulled off a pretty miracle run last year, didn't they? They beat a lot of good teams, taking out Denver on the road. And you know what? I think Baltimore could do it again, especially if it's cold out. Because Peyton Manning's not going to win if it's cold out and windy and all that stuff. He's not going to win in the playoffs, folks. I'm really, really beginning to think Denver's not going to no Super Bowl. And I got a really good idea who's going to go right now. I've got a really strong idea who's going to go. And that would be the number 2 seed in the AFC. Yeah, you can look that up. I'll get to that later as we progress. Baltimore, though, as I keep bouncing around like a freak, is going to be good enough to beat the Vikings on the road, I got to think. It's mostly because they have something to play for, but at the same time, Flacco's always been clutch. He's a decent quarterback. The Vikings cannot stop a decent quarterback. You have a guy like Ray Rice who can do it all type of thing. Minnesota Vikings do not have a Pittsburgh Steelers type of defense, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't the Steelers anymore. They're the Steel Matadors, not the Steel Curtain, but but their defense has improved a little bit. And, of course, they always have their pride against Baltimore. Their true arch rival, just like Minnesota Green Bay. You know, Vikings defense looked a little bit better against Green Bay than it did against Josh McCown in his 300-yard game yesterday, plus 300-plus yard game. No, I just think Baltimore is too good, too many weapons, too much to play for, and on the road. Matt Cassel will probably start going into this one to make things, and it'll be interesting for a while. It just depends if Baltimore's defense if they can fluster him, it's over, obviously. Matt Cassel's not the kind of guy that responds well to a strong defense. Baltimore's defense is kind of hit and miss. Like, some days they play well, some days they don't, and that's a big reason why they are 6-6 and not, like 8-4 or something, which I would have thought they had a chance to be this year, but nah, they're not going to repeat as any Super Bowl champion. There's just no way. If they do, it'd be quite a miracle. I think Baltimore's going to win in this game, 24-17. 24-17. Baltimore wins this one. Minnesota's going to wind up with 17 in this game. I think Adrian Peterson will get something on the ground. He'll do all right. Ray Rice, I'm talking about the wrong team here. Pittsburgh's running back was managed to get about 73 yards on the ground, so I think Adrian Peterson can continue to run well. Obviously, the Vikings are pretty much out of the playoff. Obviously, they're out of it. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell was pretty effective against Baltimore for his standards, almost five yards a carry. So there's going to be a lot of game on the ground. It's outdoor stadium. It's probably getting pretty cold by now. It's December, obviously. Yeah, in fact, I'm pretty sure it is. You're going to see a lot of running game and a little bit of Matt Cassel. I don't think he's going to play as well against Baltimore that he did against Chicago. I don't think there's any way he will. So that's another big thing right there. 24-17, Baltimore defeats Minnesota. We'll be right back after this to talk about, to talk with you guys. You guys can talk about the game and the Vikings in general. Fan interaction, Facebook page, Twitter account, and of course the phone lines. We will open up with a call. A belated call, unfortunately, because it was my fault last week, from Brent Jacobson. Right after this.
Yeah, this call's for Joey. Brent here. Calling in on Friday before the Packers game. My video rant outside the Simpson link didn't happen because, gee, what a surprise. Seattle. Rain. And then I also couldn't really find a parking spot. And there were a few other things I wanted to see in the town before it was the end of that day Monday. So, enough about that, I guess. Beautiful town. Shoot, if I'd known Sebastian were out there, I might have tried to hook up with him for a beer if he's of age. Anyways, enough of that. I honestly hope... Honestly, I don't want anything to do with Manziel. I just picture him as another Tebow. Great college quarterback, and not so much in the pros. If we can't get Bridgewater, then I would like to see us trade back, get someone like Aaron Murray or David Fales, Aaron Murray of Georgia, David Fields of San Jose State. Both are kind of unheralded, a little bit less heralded quarterbacks in the college ranks. And then stockpile picks like all the good teams do, you know? Anyways, this week, I hate to say it, but I really freaking hate to say this, but I hope the Packers beat us. Excuse me while I throw up, I think. In the words of a previously mentioned radio bit, this team's terrible. This team is terrible. I tell you, terrible. Anyways, thank you, Joey. Yeah, it's skull draft pick, I guess. What the heck? Keep up the good work on the show, Joey. You rock. Bye.
And as always, I thank you so much for that call, Brent Jacobson. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, what's great about that call, for the most part, it wasn't really as post-dated in terms of past date or whatever. In terms of the content, it's kind of cool, you know, how he talked about the draft a little bit. So, but yeah, Seattle. Very ironic about Seattle in so many ways. How, yeah, it's just weird. What's going on with Seattle with everybody all of a sudden? Yeah, I'm really beginning to think they're going to win the Super Bowl, folks. Just got to throw that out there really early. I'm really, really beginning to think Seattle's going to win the Super Bowl. They look unbeatable right now. They're going to be like 15-1 or something the way they're going. I mean, it's... no one's going to beat Seattle at home. And if someone does, I would be stunned. The only team that maybe might, and that's that 49ers, in my humble opinion. All right, Sebastian. It's just ironic how Sebastian moved to Seattle. Brent Jacobson was in Seattle, and congratulations on the new job, by the way. Just want to give you a nice positive shout out. Since you were kind enough to say I rock and love the show and all that stuff, I want to say you rock as well, Brent, and congratulations on the new job at Wells Fargo. So maybe I shouldn't say the name of the company, but well, everybody's heard of it. So there's a billion Wells Fargos. So congratulations, buddy. Just want to say that sincerely. But yeah, Sebastian moving to Seattle, it's just crazy to think that how, and nothing wrong with that, how at the same time, as I mentioned on the last show, a big shout out, huge shout out to one of my all-time best friends, Paul Tuniverse Kenneth, who's moving to Seattle. Very, very sad for me to see him go. At the same time, I understand. Sometimes people just want to move on and such, and possibly with the Sebastian's career and such in the Navy. Just want to say good luck to both of you, Sebastian and Paul. Really, really want to say that in a big way. Sebastian, maybe via Skype. I really should have him on the show. You know, really should at some point. I'd really feel bad that I haven't had Sebastian or Justin Day on the show, to be honest. Justin Day wanted to be on earlier, and then I was saying, oh, actually, Dylan's going to be on. And at the same time, the tough part always has been, I usually record late because of my work schedule, is what it is. But at times when it's not the mowing season, I might be able to sneak in at least part of the show in the mornings. I might be able to throw that in, like say if it's with a co-host, I might do that. Generally, if it's solo, I like to record at night. And even with co-hosts, at times I like to record at night as well. But huge shout-out to Sebastian and Paul. Paul's obviously heading to Seattle. Sebastian already there. I hate rain. Hate it with a passion, but I'm sure but I hear all the technology is really cool there. And just everything's cool about it. So, and of course, now they have a legitimate football team in a huge, massive way, without a doubt. All right, let's continue. Johnny Manziel, you don't want Johnny Manziel. Very debated figure, and in fact, the most debated figure of the 2014 draft. Not sure what to say right now. It's tough. I'd like to believe if the Vikings got Johnny Manziel that he would blow up into something here. You're comparing him all the way down to Tim Tebow. Wow. Wow, that's a huge, huge drop-off in, from college to pros in that category. I personally think Johnny Manziel possesses more football talents than a Tim Tebow, but that's one man's opinion. We'll see. It's all a we'll see. can't compare anybody right now. It's so hard. But I was about to compare, like, well, Drew Brees was small, and he got taken in the first round, and he blew up. That's what I'm saying. Can't compare anybody right now in that category on, like, the overly positive. It's almost better to compare overly negative and then see them do better. So sometimes that's better to do it that way. I kind of hear you about the draft pick there, Brent, in a lot of ways. Yeah, Bridgewater's the more sure thing, and when we've been winning these games and the other teams have been winning, the teams that were behind us, it's like, man, so much for getting that top pick, huh? It's still possible, but it's getting more and more unlikely. Freaking watch Houston get Bridgewater now. Man, that's the one thing they need is a legitimate quarterback, because Matt Schaub ain't it. Because I got to think those other pieces on the defense and such, and they still have Johnson and they have all that talent. It's unbelievable. Arian Foster, man alive, they could really be a super team if they got a legit quarterback to go with them. Man. I like the little Carl Gerbschmidt imitation there as well. That was cool. The terrible. Yeah, the Packers are terrible. They really are, and Vikings have been as well most of the time, but that sometimes they look a little better when, I guess, Matt Cassel's in there, the king of the castle. Castlevania 2, that's what yesterday was. Yesterday was Castlevania 2, but that won't be the title of the show this time. I figured if Matt Cassel stayed in there after the Pittsburgh game and we beat the surging Carolina Panthers, it would have been Castlevania 2. The now surging Carolina Panthers, at the time the 0-3 Panthers, would have been called Castlevania 2, but no, that wasn't the case. Panthers might actually be a legit threat for somebody in the NFC this year. Watch out. Okay, let's move on here. Thank you again for the call, and always welcome anybody to call, including Sebastian Balls. I'm going to give one more shout-out to Anthony from L.A. I really hope you're still out there and listening. And if you are, please call in at some point. Really miss you. I mean, it's been way too long. Really hope he hasn't taken off and said this show sucks or something, or he's just like sick of the Vikings. I don't know what it is. It's one of those things, like, what are you going to do anyway? You can't win anyway these days with anybody, can you? You really can't. I'll leave that alone about somebody on Twitter at one point. You just can't freaking win. Brent Jacobson comparing this year's Vikings to the 2012 Chiefs minus the murder-suicide. It's yikes. Yeah, it's time to call Mary Maids over to Winter Park because there needs to be a major house cleaning. Yes, big time line right there by Brent Jacobson. We'll keep that in the clear for possible star rating because there isn't too much interaction this week. It's gotten a little quiet. Here we go. No, I'll go to these post ones. Well, no, I'll get to this one really quick. I was mentioning how it's Cyber Monday. And how Purple Mafia shows on the internet. Don't forget to download and subscribe to the show on iTunes, as episode 157 will be recorded and released Monday night, yes, or Tuesday morning early. Malcolm McSween, who I'll mention again in a second, he said, can't wait. Both teams really tried their best to lose this one. Thank you for the love there, Malcolm. And also, yes, they really did try to lose, didn't they? It was kind of funny. Mark Carlson throwing in a thanks to Joey as well. Malcolm, kind enough to give me a 5-star rating on iTunes. Really appreciate that, Malcolm, and said what he had to say. Really cool. Really thank you very much, Malcolm, for what you had to say on iTunes. So give you a big shout out right there. A guaranteed star will be coming your way. I'll see which one here in a second, but a guaranteed star for that. Those of you out there, please do give me a rating on iTunes, a 5-star rating if you could. Or, well, it doesn't have to be 5. Could be 4, could be even be 3, as long as it's not 1 or 2. But give me a nice rating on iTunes, and that would be oh so terrific. And you will be mentioned on air, absolutely. And you will very likely be given one of the 3 stars as well. But now back to the actual Facebook page, and I should mention how to get there also. Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Also on the Twitter account, it is at Purple Mafia Show. Very simple. Like and follow the 2 accounts if you could. Like the Facebook page, follow the Twitter account. All right. Just a couple more posts on the Facebook. So, pretty quiet week, which is okay. We could keep moving on here. Tony Coleman. Here we go. He's looking for a back-to-back gold star here with what he's saying. I know the Vikings are in the hunt for a good draft pick, but I'm always rooting for a win. I just can't be disappointed when they win, especially when they win a game like this one. Skol. P.S. Anyone think Rhett Ellison is in trouble after today's blunders? You know he is. And my stupid butt didn't even mention the Tavares Jackson Memorial. It's probably good that I just saved it for this part anyway. So, Rhett Ellison and Chris Cook. Rhett Ellison and Chris Cook tie. A tie, ladies and gentlemen, for the Tavares Jackson Memorial. Without a doubt, it is Rhett Ellison and Chris Cook, a tie for the ultimate dishonor on the Purple Mafia show. Congratulations on another lousy game for Chris Cook and Rhett Ellison. What the hell? Mark Carlson saying, Monday morning, I checked the headlines on ESPN and yep, a Viking victory. Just making sure what I watched yesterday was real. For example, Minnesota defense playing well late in the game and for the team looking more like a team, well, except for Cook. What the hell was he thinking? Maybe he is not on the same planet as the rest of the team. Give him the Tavares Jackson Memorial. See how both of you guys? Teamwork right there. Teamwork. Also, hey, look, maybe Shanahan will be looking for work next year. Is that a possible replacement for Frazier? Skol. Mark from Iowa. Years ago, I would have said, jump on it, Shanahan. Now, nah, Mike Shanahan. That ship has sailed, Mark. That ship has sailed, in my opinion. That's one man's opinion. There's always a possibility of things. Shanahan with an Adrian Peterson, a la Terrell Davis, might be a good thing. Unfortunately, there is no John Elway, of course, to go along with that. So that's another missing component in that concoction. So Mike Shanahan definitely not high on my list of possible head coaching replacements, even though he is one hell of a big name. So a final post here. It's something I wanted to start as a topic starter. I simply put, all right, everyone, easy topic starter. Chris Cook, your thoughts. So these will all be quick one-liners. Trey Buckholtz saying, gone. Daryl Smith saying, bye-bye-bye. Nuisance, so probably bye-bye-bye from NSYNC. Hate that band. But anyhow, Chad Smith saying bye-bye. Greg Krinky saying soon to be unemployed. Brent Jacobson saying bye-bye. So it's funny how the very common place here, as we continue, is just simply get him out of here. He's done. Tony Coleman with a bit extra to say here, saying he's a bit of a chump and how idiotic you have to be to grab an official's uniform. Not only that, but he gently shoved him. What was he thinking? I don't think he'll be around much longer. See, there again, that's the very common thread right there, that he's not coming back. Trey Buckholtz saying maybe he'll make an okay safety. Oh, I don't know. Tony Coleman saying if he's not assaulting refs or getting arrested. Boy, this got a lot more activity than I thought. Ken Deemer saying so he got kicked out of the game for that. Listen, I understand you're not supposed to touch the officials, but that's ridiculous. The refs sucked in that game. Celestar Thomas saying one word, garbage. Kelly Dalton Garza saying should know better. He got burned, and they made a great play. Walk it off and get back to the line. It sure was not the ref's fault. That one, probably not. No, that he just got beat, and yeah, good thoughts there, Kelly. Mark Carlson saying there is no room in this league for a player like that other than the locker room. Wanda Shepard saying get rid of him, not worth the hassle or trouble. Matthew Kyle saying he's been nothing but unproductive. Cut him. Ryan Anderson. He'll be a Seahawk next season. Woo-hoo-hoo, zing! Oh, that's funny. Boy, I don't know if well, with all the arrests with the Seahawks and this and that, and suspension and all that crap. Yeah, Antoine Winfield's not coming back, so, Anyhow, Brett McCarthy finishing this line of talk with cut him. Very, very cool thoughts, everybody. That was cool. I figured let's start a little conversation about Chris Cook. You know, let's do a little ripping if you guys want. The door is open and you guys took it. Good job to all of you. Very, very cool. Indeed. Yes. So, let's get into Twitter. At Purple Mafia Show, as I mentioned before, Dave Martin with the the nice barrage of comments. Yep, always very cool to hear from him. Awesome stuff. He's going to be getting a star this week, no doubt. He says, right now the Quackers are like us, but in green and gold, all we need is a quarterback. Oh, and a new defense and GM and head coach. And he's saying, I see it. When today AP and Toby are going to run some more. If I'm wrong, great draft position. Still good. Continuing, well, we cannot move the ball so far. Where the hell is Freeman? I don't get it. Not sure if the Vikings football. I'm not sure if I get Vikings football anymore. Woo! So good to see Ponder holding onto the ball way too long. Gotta hope the Ponder era ends soon. Frustration, that's one word for it. Could use many others that are rude. Yep, I said something along the lines there. I was saying I wouldn't surprise me if the Vikings won. Yeah, I was just saying it's frustrating. Where the hell's Freeman? Yeah, yep, definitely. Justin in Rochester saying, yep, that's of course Justin Day saying your boy Greenway actually makes it play than it is for not. Yep. That's stupid. Who was it again? Blanton. Yep, that's another Tavares Jackson possibility there. Justin responding to what I had to say, trying to see where I said. Yep, I say way to throw away an interception with another dumb penalty. I said funky game so far, and Justin saying that is a friendly way of putting it. Dave Martin saying Cassel's not great, but who in the hell in the Vikings brain trust thinks CP7 gives us the best chance to win? Oh, you know what? That's gold star. Yep, that is a gold star right there. That's a gold star right there. Dave Martin, gold star. Gold star. Yep, finally got one, and he should have gotten one a while ago, but he got one now. There you go. Saying, are they tanking the season, keeping CP7 in if he starts next week? Got to be a plot thinkins. Yeah, it's getting weird, isn't it? All kinds of stuff. I gotta write this. Gold star for Ellison deserves player of the week. Oh my God, Bears miss a field goal. Oh, they have fireworks left. That's probably the gold star statement of the week, because that's hilarious. That's the gold star. Yep, we'll give him for that one. But overall, Dave Martin gets the gold star for all these amazing comments. Very cool. Thank you so much, Dave Martin. Always cool stuff, funny stuff to say, but good, accurate stuff as well in a lot of ways. Malcolm, let's see, what was I going to give? Oh, man, I'm confusing myself. I am going to give a bronze star to Kelly Dalton Garza if she's listening. I hope she is. So, Kelly, bronze star. Malcolm, silver star for all the cool stuff he's been saying. And, of course, the iTunes, very cool. Thank you so much. All great comments, though, guys. Nobody with a bad comment. No doubt about it. All right, so that will conclude the fan interaction. I always thank all of you for talking and interacting with me. And I really want to say this in closing on this show before I get to the contact details one last time, because that's usually how we end every show in the podcasting world. I want to say God bless all of you that have been hanging on to me and hanging on to Purple Mafia week by week, despite this frustrating season and the way the team isn't making any sense. Because obviously the numbers are going to be down. The fan base is bored. The fan base is disinterested, and some of it's bandwagon as well. Obviously, that's going to happen with any team in any sport. There's going to be bandwagon fans that just leave, and then they come back when the team's playing well. Record numbers when the 49ers or the Vikings beat the 49ers with Christian Ponder having the best game of his career. The fan base was rejuvenated, and bam, there was a sign of what Purple Mafia could be if this team were to play better. So I just want to say God bless all of you right now, because this is the base right here. This is the base, the trunk, the roots of the Purple Mafia show. And I really want to thank all of you for sticking to the show for as long as you have. And hopefully the base grows. The base grows. It's nice to have the bandwagon fans on board too, but I hope the base grows. That's obviously a big thing. Tell your friends if you can. If you've already told as many as you can tell, no problem. I understand. There's only so many people that'll just that'll listen. I mean, people at times, they just don't want to because the team stinks or they have some type of complex that they just, I don't listen to podcasts. I just don't. Well, maybe you should. If you want good radio, sometimes podcasts are better because they stay on topic. Purple Mafia is a Vikings show. It's not a show where I'm going to talk about, I don't have a kid, but just imagining, I took my kid to karate class this morning. That has nothing to do with the Vikings. Nothing. And all regular radio does that crap all the time. So just letting you know. But I am open to just stories and stuff like that. And if you guys want to tell stories, and I'm always open to telling stories as well. Maybe you guys like stories at times. Like the time I went to the Vikings game against the Atlanta Falcons. And it was just like literally nothing went right the whole game. And me and my brother, just the looks in our eyes. When Tavares Jackson made one really dumb play after another. Just the looks in our eyes when we turn our heads to look at each other, it was hilarious. So that's just a small story. I should come up with something better later on. But that was a pretty entertaining game in that sense, but a very frustrating one for all of us Viking fans who wanted a better fate than we had in that night. That was something else. 2008 Atlanta Falcons game. I even did a show about that long ago. But of course, I had a terrible microphone, bad audio back then, and to this day, if those of you are still listening from back then, I apologize for the horrible audio in that first year. I should have apologized like 1,000 times for that. Well, again, Purple Mafia is available on thesportstuff.com. Always appreciate you always appreciate you listening. Do check out the website. Do click on that big giant Amazon square. Maybe some of you are going to be shopping online. Yeah. Well, Cyber Monday is going to be over at this point. In fact, it is now, unfortunately, because burning the midnight oil. But do click on that black Amazon box for your Christmas shopping, Hanukkah, whatever it is. Do click on that big Amazon box and then just do your Amazon shopping like you normally do. All you have to do is click on the box on thesportstuff.com, like the commercial said earlier, and there you go. Of course, that was Dylan Richardson's voice. Easy way to support the show. Easy way to support the show. It's just, that's all you got to do is click on that and then do your regular shopping on Amazon. There's no real work to that at all. So just letting you know, very simple way to help if you really like this show. Also, of course, Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show for Facebook, of course. Click like. Follow at Purple Mafia Show on there. Would be also terrific. And, we got a little bit of snow coming this week. Everyone stay safe. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy the Christmas season. Be careful out there and all that. I hate crowds, but luckily I haven't had to deal with it too much yet. So, as other people may say, stay classy. Yeah, stay classy, obviously, during this season. Stay Christmassy. Stay whatever you like, but just be good about it. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week to talk about the Vikings and Baltimore Ravens.